Hello guys, welcome to Ali Khavari YouTube channel. This video is dedicated to the greatest philosopher of the modern age, Mr. Immanuel Kant. Actually, his birthday is on April 22nd. That's why I've made this video to not only dedicate to him, but also give ourselves an opportunity to know one of the greatest philosophers of the whole history of human beings, and also understand ourselves better, that we as a human can be really great. And one of the examples we can practically give is Mr. Immanuel Kant. In this video, I'm going to just talk very briefly about his biography, and at the end I'm also going to name some of his important and revolutionary works. So, Mr. Immanuel Kant was born on April 22nd of 1724, and he died on February 12th of 1804. So he was born around 302 years ago, and he died around 222 years ago. Let's know him better, then I think we will understand his importance better, particularly those who are dealing in the fields of philosophy, ethics, epistemology, literature, law. This kind of fields, they're really still dealing much with him. And to some extent, as some philosophers say, we are living in a Kantian world, means we are living in a world which is the frame of which was made by Immanuel Kant. Okay. First, let's talk a little bit about his family. Immanuel Kant's family is not that rich family, not a prestigious one. His father was a saddler, and his mother was a housewife. They both were Lutheran Protestant. They were Protestants, and from the group of Lutheran Protestants they both were devoted Protestants. And the same thing caused that they listened to the advice of the priest, a Protestant priest, who advised them to let Kant study. Kant was the fourth child from 9 children, but he was the first who survived. It means the 5 previous siblings, they all died, and he was the first one who survived. And when he was 8 years old, he went to a school which was a religious school, and it was advised or suggested by that priest. So when he went there, the lessons, they were taught in Latin language, because of which Kant really mastered the language. And during this period, which lasted around 8 to 8.5 years, he really developed a great interest in Latin classics as well, which he tremendously used in most of his works as well. So he was there for 8 to 8.5 years. When he was 8 years, he went there, and he was there for 8.5 years. So he was 16, 17, he was in that school. Now, coming a little bit about his appearance, his character, how was his appearance, how was his health, this and that. He was 5 feet tall, and he was not healthy. He had health issues from the childhood. That's why he was following a severe diet. So he was not a strong guy. He was a small build kind of guy who was also not very healthy. But one of the things which really stands him out was that he was too regular. Too regular. He was regular to that extent that the people who were living in Königsberg, the place, the city where he was born and where he lived his whole life, and he died in the same city, there the people were believing Kant more than the clock. You know, when people were wanted to know that, whereas at times so they were looking at, okay, what is Kant doing? Because he was doing everything exactly at the same time, every day, each day. And every day he was going on a walk, and that way that he was walking every day later on became very famous, and it was named the Philosopher's Walk. That route became the Philosopher's Walk. It was named like that. So he was a very, very regular guy. And every day he was writing at least for 3 hours, sometimes more than that. So that really helped him to write a lot of things and to be very punctual and regular. Considering this point, that he never married, he was single, so he did not have the family responsibility. That's also helped him have more time to focus on writing. He was writing for a couple of hours in the early morning before going to university, and he was writing at least 3 hours every afternoon. Okay, that was something about his personal life and his health and his appearance. One thing else I should not forget about that walking. So he was too regular, but 2 times he could not do that walking. One was for sure when he got very old, when he got sick. So because of sickness, because of being weak and sick, he could not. The other time, for a few days that he could not, was when he was reading the book Emile, written by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a French thinker. It is about training, about education, this and that. Emile is a very good book, actually. So when he was reading that book, he got that much into that book that a few days he stayed at home and he was just thinking and reading that book and thinking about it, contemplating about it. So that few days he also missed that walking. He kind of missed his routines because of that book. So by that we can understand that he was really much fond of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and particularly that particular book. Now, let's get to his biography back. In 1740, when he was 16 years old, he started university and he started studying theological studies. So 8 years, when he was around 8 years, he went to that school and he stayed there for around 8 to 8.5 years. And in 1740, he went to university. When he was at university, he developed interest in reading book of some English people. One of them was Wolfe, and the other one that he became really fond of was Newton, Isaac Newton. Now, it might be surprising for you guys that why is he reading Newton? Because we normally know Kant as a philosopher. Well, actually, Kant, particularly at the beginning of his career, was much into science, I mean physics and mathematics. And later on, slowly, he developed interest in philosophy, in metaphysics, in logic, those kind of things. But he never lost his interest in science, particularly physics. So he was really much interested in Newton as well, and he was writing his works as well. So in 1744, he started writing his first book, which was about kinetic things, about movements, so a scientific topic. And the book was published in 1746, 2 years after he started writing that. 1746, his father died, and because his father died, he did not have any financial support anymore. He could not complete his degree, and that's why he could not acquire a teaching position in any school related to that university in that place. And that made him to start teaching as a family tutor. So from 1746, he became a family tutor, and he continued that job for 9 years. During this 9 years, he taught in 3 different prestigious families, and those 3 families really helped him later on as well, and during these 9 years as well, to know more influential people and understand the world better. After 9 years, by the help of some of his friends, he could finally complete his degree and graduate from university. And after that, in 1755, when he got graduated from university, he became lecturer at the University of Königsberg. Okay. So when he became a lecturer, he had to submit at least one dissertation, and he submitted something again related to science. So still, we don't have the philosopher Kant, though he is starting thinking about those kind of issues, but still his main focus is on science. So 1755, when he became lecturer at the university, the main subjects he was teaching were physics and mathematics. They were the main subjects that he was teaching. Slowly, he started teaching logic, metaphysics, ethics, this kind of subjects as well. Though he was teaching some other subjects as well, like geography as well, this and that as well. But slowly, he went to the path that we now know Kant due to them. He continued teaching this kind of things for 15 years. And as the years passed, he started teaching more of logic, metaphysics, ethics, aesthetics, this kind of issues, and less of scientific issues. And because of that, in 1770, he became professor of logic and metaphysics at the University of Königsberg. Königsberg is the place where Kant was born, and he lived his whole life there. That was back then when Kant was alive. That city was part of Prussian Empire, but right now that is part of Russia. That is, now it is inside Russia. Okay. Kant was a very popular and favorite teacher at the university. His classes were usually very lively. He enlivened his classes with good examples, with verses of classics, because he knew good Latin as well, and he had good good understanding of the literature as well. So overall, he was a very great teacher, and a lot of his students liked him. And because of that, before he became the professor of logic and metaphysics at the University of Königsberg, he got offers from a lot of other universities as well. One of them including from the University of Berlin. But he rejected all those offers. He did not want to leave that small, quiet city, which was providing him with the possibility and opportunity of thinking and working on his own project. So he rejected the offers which he was receiving from different universities, some of them much more prestigious than the Königsberg University. Okay, so 70, when he became professor, again he had to submit some dissertations. In one of in the dissertation that he submitted to the university, he discussed about things which is believed to be the first signs of what later became critique of pure reason. In his dissertation submitted in 1770, he's talking about two kinds of understanding, two kinds of objects, which he theorized and he explained well in Critique of Pure Reason later on. So, 1770, he became professor of logic and metaphysics, and he remained in that position until he retired and then later on died. During, better to say around, maybe before that, around 1790, a little bit before that, Kant became maybe too popular, if not at least very popular. And a lot of people from different cities were coming to Königsberg to meet Kant, to talk to him, to get his ideas, his views on different things. Königsberg became a kind of intellectual shrine. And the Prussian Empire as well tried to facilitate the people who are coming to meet Kant, and they were providing some services to those kind of people as well. Okay. But at the same time as well, 1790, his health got worse, and he slowly started losing his strength. But he still was okay, or at least able to continue writing, working. So 1790, his situation got worse, but he died on February 12th of 1804, means 14 years later than that. He really lived long enough after that, after his sickness got increased as well. So he finally died in 1804. That's a very short biography of Immanuel Kant. Coming to some of his important works, the most important one, which really made Kant, is something called Critique of Pure Reason. So, to understand the importance of Critique of Pure Reason, I just want to mention 2 points. First, Kant, though he has written a lot of books, did not write any book after 1770, after submitting that dissertation to the university, in where he somehow very vaguely expressed his opinion. Till 1781, when he published his book, Critique of Pure Reason. So 11 years, but let's take it 10 years even. 10 years he worked on the content of this book. He had the idea, but he really had to work on it, make it very explicit, very systematic. And it took him 10 years to do that. So considering a regular, punctual guy like Kant, and that also that he was not traveling anywhere, he did not have family, and he was a professor. Considering all this point, 10 years is really, really a huge amount of time. So he has given 10 years, at least 10 years of his life to this book. First. The second point I want to mention to understand the importance of this book is the book which caused the Copernican revolution in epistemology. What Copernicus did in about sky, about our understanding of the universe, we were thinking, that we are the center, sun is or the other things are moving around us. He proved that no, sun is in the center and we are moving around it. So he changed everything. Kant also did the same thing, and that is in this book. Now what actually he did and what is this book, this and that, if you guys are interested, comment, we will get to that. But now in this video, I'm sorry, it's not possible to talk about any of them, because all of them are really, really important things, and in each one of them, a lot of things are mentioned. Even talking about them, introduction of them is possible within a video, but for sure, talking about the points mentioned in that book, overall, the way Kant has discussed, it is not possible to be discussed within a few videos. So, that is his first major book, Critique of Pure Reason, and that is the book which really made Kant the Kant that we know. And it is the book which changed the world. And after this book, we are living in a world which is made by Kant. We are living in Kantian world right now. And that is because of this book, Critique of Pure Reason. The second book, which is very important, is Critique of Practical Reason. This book was published in 1788, 7 years after the Critique of Pure Reason. And we have another critique as well, which is called Critique of Judgment. Most of the experts, the scholars, they believe that the third critique is not actually a separate or independent book. It is a series of appendices, which is, so they're all appendix of these two other critiques. Okay? So they're not, that the third one is not an independent book. Most of the experts believe like that. So if we accept this idea, we can say that we have two critiques, critique of pure reason and critique of practical reason. Pure reason, practical reason. The first one is dealing very much in epistemology, and the second one is dealing with ethics, morality. As I told you, it's not possible to discuss about those books now. So if you guys are interested, let me know, we'll get to them for sure. The last book that I just want to mention, it's called Religion Within Limits of Reason Alone. This book was published in 1793. This book caused too much chaos, and the church, the religious figures, they really got angry, and they started saying that this book should be banned, this is against religion, against Christianity, against this and that. The situation got serious to the extent that the king, Frederick William II, he had to get involved, and he asked Immanuel Kant not to write anything, not to say something again in this part, in religion, in church, this and that. And Immanuel Kant, because he really liked the king, he promised that he will not do that. And Frederick William II died in 1797. And after that, Kant again came back to this arena and he said that my promise was to the king. And now the king has died, so I no more have that promise to keep myself away from this arena. And that was the result. As a result of that, we have another book, which is the final published book of Kant, major work of Kant, by the name of The Conflict of Faculties, which was published in 1798. So there are some major works of Kant, but Kant for sure has a lot of works. He was really active guy. That's it about Immanuel Kant. I hope this video has helped you to a little bit become curious about Immanuel Kant, and I hope this has given us enough motivation or a reason to work harder, be consistent, and think systematically. One of the biggest wins of Mr. Kant is that he really thinks systematically. It's not like he's doing something and then leaving it and doing something else. All his works are too much systematic, and that really is a big win for him. And it makes it easy for the people who really understand Kant to understand him better. Though it's very, very difficult and complicated to get into Kant, but once if you get into him, then it becomes very easy because it's really a systematic thing. So I hope you guys have gotten much curiosity to understand Kant more, and through him understand human, understand mind, understand knowledge, understand morality, ethics, and a lot of other things well and better. Once again, as I mentioned in the beginning, April 22nd is the birth date of Mr. Immanuel Kant, and this video is dedicated to him. Like the video. If you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe it and share the videos with all your friends and acquaintances. Have a great time. See you guys.